So our next presenter, Erin Rhoda, is editor of Maine Focus, a journalism and community engagement initiative at the Bangor Daily News. Here she describes the story behind her Maine culture, why it's good to be stubborn, the importance of doing hard labor with your family, and several secrets to happiness. Please welcome Erin Rhoda.
When I first started in the Maine newspaper world in 2007 as a reporter, I got to meet a lot of new people in a lot of new places. And I found that people seemed to ask me one question a lot, and that was, where are you from? And they didn't mean, where do you live? They wanted to know where I was born. They wanted to know if I was a Mainer, and when I told them I was, they sometimes tried to figure out whether they knew my family. And or like my parents or my brothers, you can see here with me. Because especially in Maine, for better or worse, where you're from and the people you know are a part of knowing you. So this is a photo of my grandfather, Erin Rhoda, who ran a working dairy farm in Milo. And grew up using horses instead of farm equipment. And he also worked for American Bread Company and the railroad, and he was a talented carpenter. And my father has said that if he wanted to spend time with his dad, he had to go outside and work with him. And you really get to know someone when you do hard labor together. So my grandfather instilled in my father a love of the land in Maine and a need to make something out of it. And my father, Paul Rhoda, has tried to instill the same love of Maine in me and my brothers in Maine. So this is a photo of me with him when I was little. So secret to happiness number one is to do good things for others. My father was the first in his family to graduate from a 4-year college from the University of Maine. And when he graduated, he could have, he had job offers in multiple states, and he could have accepted a higher paying position elsewhere, but he chose to stay in Maine and work in Rockland. And so, of course, he wasn't content to just work a full-time job. He also wanted to work the land like his father had done. So he and my mother bought a small farm in Washington, in Knox County, and in the middle of the property was this beautiful old Wolf River apple tree. My parents have been on the property for nearly 40 years, and they still chop all their own firewood and hay their fields. And this is a photo of what farming does to you. My mother looks kind of tired. So you learn a lot of things growing up on a farm, namely stubbornness. It's the sort of attitude where you think, I'm going to get this done if it's the last thing I do. So, speaking of I do, I got married in August. And so that's my now husband, Matt. And we looked for months for a wedding venue. And finally Matt said, well, let's just get married at your parents' place. And luckily we weren't aiming to be married in mud season. That would have been really hardcore. So we walked around the property and we figured we could fit about 100 people facing the old, beautiful Wolf River apple tree. And that photo was taken in August of 1979, exactly 35 years before Matt and I would get married underneath it. And, but as we were kind of looking around, we realized the scene was actually a little bit less than idyllic. Because right next to the tree was this 1830s posted beam barn with gross green shingle siding. It was sinking in certain places and was filled with 37 years worth of junk. So secret to happiness number 2 is sometimes happiness, you have to work for it. So we decided, being the stubborn people that we are, that we were going to take off all the siding and renovate it if it was the last thing we did. So the only thing, though, once we started taking off the siding, we realized that most of the beams underneath were rotten. And we were essentially going to have to replace the entire side of this 3-story barn. And my father, the one with all the experience in doing these sorts of things, was going to have to figure out how to teach his family how to do construction. So that's him sitting on the very top of the barn. Oh my goodness. So we became very, very grateful for a lot of people who came by to help, and they trusted our scaffolding, and they were okay getting really, really dirty. So secret to happiness number 3 is that relationships are key. So we finished the barn 2 days before the wedding. I think my grandfather would have been proud because, well, you can see why. So when we were clearing out the barn, we found a pair of old wooden skis that he had worn a long, long time ago. And I thought they were such a great representation of him and really my Maine culture because they were a symbol of action and of a literal connection to the land. So I hope that this is showing you a little bit about why I have stayed in Maine too. Over the course of the 6 months we worked on the barn, I came to appreciate it for its usefulness, its integrity, and its strength, and I can think of no better way to describe the people of Maine. And this is my father on the morning of my wedding, tending to his tomatoes. He was also cleaning caterpillars' webs out of the apple tree. So this is the wedding, you can see the barn. This week, the Bangor Daily News published a project we called My Maine Culture. And we asked people across Maine to send in images of what Maine means to them. And this is mine. I must have been about 2, and my father, of course, is with me under the blooming apple tree with chopped wood in the background and a knife on his belt ready for anything. So in case you couldn't tell, this is where I'm from.